The one and only multiverse presents a grand unified theory. Mikhail Lomonosov. 1711 to 1765, age 54. Antony, Laurent Lavoisier. 1743 to 1794, age 51. Matter, energy, mass. A spatial force. Creating magnetism. Polarized space. Particle strings. Density mass index, DMI. Primal space. Universal dark matter particle space, UDMPS. Your host, Richard E. Noer. This web page and video is not AI. Matter, primal matter, polarized matter, dark matter, antimatter, atomic matter, molecular matter. These are individual constructs of matter, and all can exist in the same space at the same time. That's why we have the energy of movement and magnetism. It is also why we have the vast expanse of space, and not the vast expanse of nothing. Basic matter, primal matter, a sand formulation, 3 spatial dimensions of height, width, and depth. Each tiny grain is solid, and has no internal energy of any kind, but it creates a spatial force when it moves about. B. Matter is a substance that produces all of existence. It cannot be created or destroyed. This means that matter is the prime substance of the universe multiverse. Because of its infallibility, matter does not come into being, increase or decrease because of energy. Energy is movement and is not matter. To carry it one step further, energy cannot exist by itself, it takes matter to create energy. So how does space expand and contract? This happens because of magnetism. Magnetism also has height, width and depth, and together with matter, it creates mass and the expanding compacting ability of space. Lastly, it is matter and magnetism that produces the illusion of increasing or decreasing matter, but as you can see, it has to be magnetism that does the increasing, decreasing, not the matter. The expanding contracting spatial force of moving matter is called dark energy, and it requires polarized particle space to do its magic. There are many formulations of matter. The first one is primal sand. This matter is defined as basic existence and is at the beginning of measurable space. Each minuscule grain is irregular and solid, and has no internal energy. Because the grains are unique, the small physical space they occupy will always be the same. It is conserved. On the other hand, because these tiny grains can vibrate, move, and bump into each other, they can and do create more space. The space they create is called primal space. So, primal sand that has energy, can create space, along with the space of its energy. Both together is what we call mass. One more important thing about primal space, it is not polarized, so, it can't pass any gravity currents, magnetic or light waves. We are not done yet. Matter plus its movement, creates more space in the cosmos, but there is no magnetism of spinning tiny particles, just a weak spatial force with tiny matter grains. The second formulation of matter is small, spherical, dark matter particles clumped together. UDMPs. They are made by molding primal sand and its space into a tiny sphere, then forcing it to spin. When this happens, it creates more space to spin in. The space that is produced is a strong, polarized magnetic zone. This is because the spinning spheres of primal matter sand produce a north and south pole with a one-way spatial magnetic flow through a spinning axis. When you add all the spinning spheres of primal sand together, you get a vast expanse. In the multiverse theory, this space is called the universal dark matter particle C. B. Now it gets interesting. When the spin force relaxes, the strong magnetic spatial force of dark matter particles also relax. This in turn expands the area that the spinning universal particle created. Internal-external. The tiny grains of sand spread out and have a weaker formation. C. In the cold outer universe, the tiny universal particles lose even more spin. When this happens, they lose their magnetic form. This is what turns dark matter space into primal space. What? That's right. This is because the strong polarized pulling force of magnetism is now too weak to hold the dark matter particle together. The universal particle has lost its structure, and only loose, primal matter and its expanded weak spatial force exists. Oh my! I bet Einstein would not like this idea. I bet you're right, but this prediction of the multiverse has tons of evidence to back it up. On the contrary, Einstein's changing energy into matter does not have any credible evidence. It is a concept. TM, energy cannot create matter, it is just the opposite. Matter is an entity, active energy is spatial movement, and potential energy is stored movement. So, it is now possible to say, you can have matter with no energy, matter with energy, or matter with both active, magnetic, and potential energy. B. Finally, it is the spin energy of the spherical form of matter that creates the particle mass of dark matter space. This is because each spinning body produces a magnetic polarized spatial force field. This in turn, is what produces space between all particles, structures, and bodies in oceans of space. When you add together the matter of spinning particles, with the magnetized space they have created, you can now understand the very active vast expanse of the cosmos, which in turn, now has the ability to create gravity, light, heat and magnetic wave streams. Conclusion: in the multiverse theory, tiny spinning bodies of primal sand are called universal dark matter particles. These particles are what creates the energetic medium for celestial bodies. The distance between planets, stars, and galaxies. They are also the basic ingredient for protons, electrons, and neutrons. All this means that space, and bodies in space are not as complicated as once thought. They have a simple beginning and a plausible evolution. On the other hand, as you will see, there is much more in store for these tiny universal particles. The first evolutionary structures of a dark matter sea are magnetic strings. They form out of the tiny spinning dark matter particles and the expansion energy of a black star supernova. Next, universal particles interact and the strings form twine and rope chains, along with a looping phenomena. It is this particle interaction that will eventually create a proton. As you can see, the universe is starting to get complicated. How it all fits together begins with the production of basic subatomic particles. Proton, electron, neutron, not quarks, leptons and bosons. Keep in mind that the basic ingredient of all space, and bodies of space, are tiny spinning spheres of sand. To continue this story, you have to visit the particle evolution page. Mass of the Standard Model, not supported by TM. The property of a body that causes it to have weight in a gravitational field. The astronomical unit of mass is the solar mass. M. It is often used to refer to this unit. The solar mass is 1.98892 times 1030 kg. This is a standard way to express mass in astronomy and is used to describe the masses of other stars and galaxies. Standard Model continued: on Earth, the terms mass and weight are often used interchangeably, but in astronomy and Newtonian physics the mass of an object is linked with how much matter it contains. TM, this is challenged. The weight of an object equals the force of gravity felt by that object, but the mass of an object is the amount of matter the object has. TM, this is also challenged. Though the terms weight and mass are used interchangeably in common language, in science there is a distinct difference between the two terms. The weight of an object equals the force of gravity felt by that object, but the mass of an object is the amount of matter the object has. Mass is a measure of the object's resistance to acceleration. A push on a skateboard will make it roll away quickly, but the same push on a more massive car will barely budge it. TM, oh boy, something's not adding up. More Standard Model, an object's weight depends on the pull of the gravitating body, but the object's mass is independent of the gravity. For example, Joe average weighs himself on the Earth's surface and then on the Moon's surface. His weight on the Moon will be about 6 times less, but the number of atoms in his body has not changed, so his mass is the same in both places. TM, this is challenged. We have new powerful, theoretical information. The multiverse theory of mass. An average person standing on different celestial bodies. A. Earth. B. Moon. C. Jupiter. D. Sun. Density Mass Index, DMI, a new term to describe the relativity of dark matter particle material density, to the amount of particle space in a medium, and/or structures. A black star has high density and very low mass. Open space has very low density and high mass. The Earth's gravity current, which is subject to the density mass index, is traveling through the person's structure, thus producing a pull of 140 pounds. B. The Moon's gravity current, traveling through the individual, produces a pull of 23 pounds. C. Jupiter's gravity current, traveling through the individual, produces a pull of 355 pounds. D. The Sun's gravity current, traveling through the individual, produces a pull of 3,914 pounds. Gravity anti-gravity currents are subject to the density mass index. This is because of the XCP dark energy forces of dark matter particles. As I tried to illustrate, mass does change the gravitational attraction force. It is weak for low-density matter, because of spatial magnetic lock, but, as spatial density increases, there will be a stronger gravitational force. This is because mass changes in gravity currents as well. This means if there are more gravity streams per area, because of compression, there will be more pulling power. The weight of an object can only increase or decrease because of the object's density, or the compacted space of gravitational streaming currents. So, what is mass in the multiverse? In the multiverse theory, mass is not precisely the amount of matter an object has, but it is also the amount of magnetic space an object contains. Density mass index. On the other hand, gravity too has a magnetic spatial force. So if the gravity currents have less space, there will be more gravity streams per area, thus stronger, faster gravity. It is both of these physical developments that determines the weight of objects. This means that a body's weight can change with the addition of more and more spherical matter, but gravitational spin energy also changes. This in turn creates more, smaller, faster streaming gravity currents with more pulling power, which also affects a body's weight. Gravity is not a constant. This is because it does not transverse a void or a vacuum. The vast expanse of empty space is an unproven concept. In the grand unified theory, a void of matter and magnetism, or empty space, doesn't exist. TM logic, density is how much matter a body has. Mass is the amount of magnetic space, plus the amount of matter a body contains. A black star has low mass and high density, which in turn, creates extreme compacted gravitational streams. A galaxy has a huge mass, is spread out with less intense but far-reaching, weaker gravity currents. TM, there is a more precise definition of mass, see Encyclopedia 56. Standard dictionary definitions: space, A, the unlimited expanse in which everything is located. B, an empty area, usually linked in some way between things. C, any location outside the Earth's atmosphere. D, the interval between two times. E, a blank area. TM. This is so incomplete. There needs to be much more detail. There cannot be a vast expanse of nothing. This is because an expanse has height, width, and depth. It is a physical existence. Nothing is nothing, not anything, nothing at all, and definitely not a vast expanse. The vast expanse of space is matter, plus its spatial magnetic force. Empty area, an expanse of nothing are oxymorons. TM's general definition of polarized space covers the vast expanse of dark matter in a multiverse. There is the space between galaxies, there is space between atoms, and there is space between protons and electrons, and guess what? This is also called dark matter space. Next, there are the protons and electrons themselves, they occupy space. And finally, there are the individual dark matter particles of quantum fields, which are also called universal particles. All make up the universe we know. B. Now for the big addition to the definition of space that no one has considered. There is also the existence of primal space. This space has no dark matter particles, or their spin energy, therefore has no polarized spatial force, but it still has space. This space is produced by tiny granules of primal matter. They can vibrate, move, and bump into each other, thus creating a weak, random spatial force, but it is not polarized. So, as you can see, the size and density of the cosmos is a little more complex than one's first understanding. Now, something remarkable about dark matter and the dark matter sea. The expanse of space is so vast, that the separation between stars and galaxies are measured in light years. This brings up a dubious situation. Everybody knows, when you travel through space it takes a period of time. So, it is natural to think of space and associate it with time, like Einstein envisioned. The problem with this is, space is an entity and time is a measurement, not a physical existence, time, a progress measurement between 2 points. Whatever you do, don't link space and time together, space-time. This creates a single physical existence. That's just what Einstein did, and it was a big mistake in logic. Linking the two separate entities won't work. Space is a physical existence, it has height, width and depth, time does not. It is theoretically possible to have timeless space. So what is space exactly? B. Space simplified, space is the distance between celestial bodies, or the distance between atoms, or the distance between protons and electrons, or the distance between dark matter particles, or the distance between primal matter grains. Matter and spatial movement. When dark matter particles of the cold expanding universe lose enough spin energy, they lose torus magnetic lock of each tiny particle, and primal space is created. See, all the matter of the universe cannot be created or destroyed and is constant, but the two formations of matter, and the active potential energetic space they produce, is what enhances and changes the volume and energy of the cosmos. The amount of matter the multiverse has, is the one and only constant. B. Gravity currents increases its streaming, pulling, spatial force, and decreases mass. Anti-gravity currents, increases the pushing, spatial force and increases mass. XCP dark energy. These fluctuations are presented to show relativity, and are always changing. To double down on this important conclusion, the universe is not static. The only thing in the universe that doesn't change, is the total amount of matter, all the rest does, even the speed of light, the speed of magnetic waves, and the strength of gravity. The Big G. Your host, Richard E. Noer. Young me. Mini me. Email, noerastronomy@gmail.com. Here in a multiverse. Our goal is to find the cosmic truth. No matter where, or how far it takes you. The universe truly does unify. If you get the basics right,